everyone, and welcome back to the Rave Social Podcast. I'm your host, Jaiden, and today we have Hilary on the podcast. Hilary is an Akashic Records teacher, intuitive guide, and the creator of the Akashic Portal, a membership, community, space, and app for building a grounded, embodied relationship with your records. It is her health journey, surviving a bone marrow transplant at 21 and living with chronic illness, that led her on a 15-plus year self-healing exploration of trainings, studies, and research. Since 2019, the records have been at the center of her work, as she has taught hundreds of students to co-create with their spiritual team in life and business. Her mission is to share how deeply practical the records are and how being in relationship with them can shift and expand your life in the most miraculous ways. Everyone, welcome Hilary.
Thank you, Jade. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you, and we're going to jump right into the nitty-gritty. But just so you all know what to expect out of the podcast, we're going to be talking about Hilary's journey, but also how to use the records as a business tool. So first, I'd love to know, can you take us back to the beginning? Can you talk about what was happening in your life before you got into this?
Yes. So reflecting back on this journey that led me here, I can see now how everything needed to unfold as it did to get me to this place, but it was definitely a very winding path. Very, very winding.
As they be.
They do be like that sometimes. Growing up, I always dreamed of moving to New York, and eventually that dream turned into also working in fashion. It was pretty much my entire personality since I was 8 years old. This is what I will do and no one will stop me. So I accomplished that dream and moved to New York when I was 18 to go to college. I went to the Fashion Institute and felt like this is it. I figured it out. I started getting internships. I was working at Chanel Beauty and Teen Vogue and Diane von Furstenberg, Betsy Johnson. I'm like, this is it. I accomplished my dream, smooth sailing from here. I have it all figured out. And then while I was in college in 2011, I was 21 years old. I got really sick. And that turned into a diagnosis of severe aplastic anemia, which led to the doctors telling me that I needed this life-saving bone marrow transplant. So it was my whole world imploded, and I had to move back to Miami, which is where I grew up, to receive that transplant. I had a lot of time to think during recovery, maybe too much time to think. And it was during that time that I was like, I don't know if fashion is actually what I want to be doing. There's all these parts of myself that I've sort of pushed to the side and I haven't really given the space. So I moved back to New York about 2 years after, and I couldn't hold down a job because I was getting sick all the time. And for me, I guess at that point I was 23. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I went through the transplant, check that off, and then I'll move back to New York and we'll just go back to life as normal. And very quickly realized that there was no normal anymore. There was life before my transplant, and then there was life after my transplant. So I wound up starting my first blog around that time to start exploring all of these parts of myself that I was interested in, from holistic health and sustainable style and clean beauty and topics. It was really feeling lit up for the first time in a really long time about what I was creating. And I just became obsessed with this idea of being my own healer. So I was every healer I could work with, training I could do, workshop I could take. I got my Kundalini yoga teacher certification, Reiki, breathwork. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do everything I can to feel the best that I possibly can. And in the midst of that, I started working for my now ex-husband at his company, and he had a tech company in Tribeca. It was a very consuming experience. I started helping with little things, and then over the years took on more and more responsibility to the point that they brought me on as president of the company, and I was helping to run the business. So at that point, all of my dreams, everything I wanted to work on, I completely abandoned. It was just there was no space for it. And I didn't know how to hold both. So in 2017, I got really sick again, and this is like the part where I normally am just like, I got sick and then I found the records. But I feel like it's important to share like this part of it. Because for me, like my body was always the thing that will communicate in the loudest voice. So, I got diagnosed with something called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. So it's essentially a version of Bell's palsy. And I had full facial paralysis on the right side of my face. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. It was absolutely like the lowest moment of my life. God. Yeah, it was really intense. The healing from that has continued to be really intense. And so about 2 years out from that, I had moved to Brooklyn. I was living in Williamsburg at the time. And it was like the lowest moment of my life. Like I was so lost. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. So I was walking around in my neighborhood and I was like straight up just talking to God. I'm like, help me. Like I need clarity. Please, like, please tell me what my next steps are supposed to be. Like just total, like on my hands and knees. And I literally heard like receive an Akashic reading, which I was like, what? Because like I had heard about the modality in my like journeys of like trying everything and doing everything, but I had never felt drawn to them. I was like, oh yeah, like I know people who read the records, like that's cool. It seems interesting, but like never felt called to even get a reading. So I went back to my apartment, reached out to someone, and I had that reading, and it was literally life-changing. Like I felt seen in a way that I hadn't felt seen in so long and had such clear next steps. And it's just like this weight had been lifted off of me. And I saw training was coming a few weeks later. I was like, cool.
Sign up for that.
Like never thinking this would become my business in a million years. I was like, this will be a fun thing. I'll read for myself. I'll read for my friends and family. Like, yeah, so fun. And during that training was the first time I opened the records for someone else. And like, I had no idea how I knew the things coming through. And like the person in front of me was literally crying because they felt so seen. And I was like, what is happening? What is this? Like,
that is crazy.
It was crazy. I'm like, I can do this? Like, I had no idea. And then the teacher was like, read for as many people for the next 30 days. And I was so hungry to practice. So I put on my Instagram stories, like 30 days of free readings. I booked out my calendar for like 2 a day. They booked out in like less than 2 days, like 36 hours or something. I was like,
okay, what's up?
Cool. Like there's something here. And I did the 30 days of free readings. And then after that, I started charging a little, and then I started charging a little more. Then kept, eventually a couple years later, created my first course. And here we are, a little over 6 years later. So
wow, that is such a journey. That's such a winding path. Yes, no, that's amazing. Such a cool story. And I feel like now is the perfect time to ask, like, what are the records? Like if somebody doesn't know, like this may be the first time they're hearing about them, or they may have heard the name, but they don't know what it is. Like, what is it?
Yeah. I'm so grateful to share. So the records are these vibrational records, and they contain our soul's journey, past, present, and all future possibility. So you can think of them like this energetic library or archive. And the visual that I always give people is the library in Beauty and the Beast, except that library is literally infinite. And it's filled with everything that every soul has ever thought, said, or done over the course of its entire existence. And again, that's past lives, present life, and future possibility. So every single thing that has a life force has a record. So your podcast has a record. You and I individually have a record. Our individual homes have a record. The city we live in, pets, like our family unit, like literally I think I said business, everything that has a life force has a record. So when we access the records, we're tapping into this direct line to our spiritual team, to our intuition, to our soul, and we're able to bring in these questions. So they can be really big and expansive questions, like what is my soul's purpose, or how am I, like, what lesson am I meant to learn from this relationship? Or it can be like really practical, like what self-care ritual am I meant to incorporate in my routine, or like, what does my community need to hear from me right now? So there's infinite possibilities to play with them.
Yeah.
And really, I just look at it as this direct line to your spiritual team, your intuition, and your soul.
Yeah. How is it different from like, there's all the different things, right? Like human design, life paths, what are like the gene keys, like
Totally.
your chart, your astrology chart. Like, how is this different from these other tools that sometimes people use in business?
Yeah. So I look at those tools as systems. So like they were channeled by individual people or groups of people or ways of thinking about things that help us to understand ourselves more deeply and like that specific path. And I feel like those systems are within like the bigger realm or the bigger umbrella of the records. So it's like the same concept of like using a tool to understand ourselves more deeply. But with this, it is that direct line to your spiritual team. Like it's not this person or individual or group of people that created a system that's explaining to us who we are. And I love those systems. Like I love to use them. I love to practice with them, but the records just have a different energy because it's really your connection with like the universe versus like a specific tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense. That's so interesting. When you talk about them, like the records being so practical, I know you said like you can bring questions and things like that, but like when you talk about them being practical, I'm curious about two things. One, how is it different from like spiritual work or like breath work? Like people have spiritual experiences with that. How are they different from like that and other things?
No, I love this question because I feel like part of my mission is to like rebrand the records is like
I love that.
That is literally like when I explain them as this practical tool, I'm like, no, it is like meditation or breath work or like pulling cards. Like it's not that serious in the sense of like, this is beautiful, sacred work, but like, it's not that serious. Like you can just go into your records, drop into your spiritual team and be like, can you hold me in this? What message do you have for me today? Like it to me is on the same level as like breath work, meditation. And that is how like, I hope people come to use it where it's like, oh, I'm journaling. Oh, let me just like open my records while I'm journaling so I can just like drop in a little bit deeper. My favorite way to use the records is to open them and just go for a walk. Like the best. I'm just like walking around. Everything looks different. And I'm just like the crazy person in my head, sometimes talking out loud, my guides. Everyone's like doing their own thing. But yeah, I think that like sometimes we can make the concept of spiritual work feel really like heady and esoteric and only for the select few. And I'm just like, barf. Like, no.
Like it's for everyone.
It's literally for everyone.
So
literally.
You're kind of talking about like opening the records, and I'm sure there's so many layers to this. And obviously you went to like a training and you've been doing this, all the things, but like, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like what is your records? Like, do you have to know a certain thing to access them or what's the vibe there?
Yeah. So I learned how to access the records through a sacred prayer. And then a few years into working with my records, my guides gave me like my own prayer that I also share with my community and clients. So the only I have these sacred non-negotiables that are very light invitations. It's just ground, be grounded in your body, however that looks for you. If that's taking a few deep breaths, if that's meditating, if that's journaling, if that's going for a walk, and like give yourself the space. And then you would say the prayer to drop in. And then like you're in the records and you're just like feeling into the energy. No two people experience the records in the same way. So it is a relationship and like it takes practice, like any relationship. It takes time and energy and like a commitment to getting to know what the communication is. So some people see visuals, some people hear like a deep inner knowing, some people just like pen to paper, they are like channeled writing. Some people see aura. Sometimes it's just silence. And honestly, that's a message in its own. Sometimes you can go in the records and just say, like, can you take me to my writing room? And like, that's, you're dropping in your records, like, write your newsletter today, or do your content strategy for the week, or edit your social media, like anything. And it's just kind of like amplifying your own intuition, amplifying like that focused energy. And then you say the closing prayer and they're done. Like I mean, they're not done. You're closed. Like it's not, you don't leave them open infinitely. So yeah, it's very practical.
So I'm guessing like when you're working with your clients and people come to you, like you can access theirs for them if they haven't learned or don't know the process yet.
Exactly. So the Akashic portal, my membership community space and app, that's really for anyone coming in like at any stage of their journey. They could never have opened the records before, or they could be in consistent practice. And that's where within the app, there's everything from like the grounding practices to I record these guided Akashic journeys where I'll literally lead you through a meditation, open the records with you, give you quiet space to do your thing, close them with you so you can feel really held. Or just like journaling practices. Like that's my intention for creating that, is anyone who was like feeling the call to weave the records into their life, into their business, like that was a place to drop into. And then doing one-on-one readings and my mentorship, that's where people drop in, where it's like, I'm holding you. You're coming up with a couple questions, or they don't have to prep at all. They can just tell me like what's going on, and then I can help them phrase their questions. And I am fully holding the space. I am channeling the records. I am giving you the information and the messages, and like we're in conversation in that way. But like that is fully being held in it. So there's different pathways depending on where people feel called.
I love that. We've kind of lightly touched on this, but I'm curious what like co-creating with your spiritual team can look like in your day-to-day business. I know you said like, you know, you could go to your writing room, do your newsletter, your content strategy, etc. But like, how do you use this and how do your clients use it?
Yeah. So the most like consistent staple for me is my like morning meeting with my guides. So like when I'm having my lemon water and 5,000 other beverages, as we do.
Relatable.
Yes, always. If you don't have at least 5 beverages on your desk,
what are you doing?
Are you hydrated enough?
Yeah. Are you hydrated? I love that.
Yeah, it's required. So I'll just take my journal out or a notes app and I'll just do like a morning meeting, and it's just like helps me drop in, meditate before if I'm feeling ungrounded. I'll go through one of the guided journeys on the app or one of the practices. And then it's just, you know, what is the most important thing for me to know today? Like, what is the most important message you have to share with me today? Or what do you need me to know? And it kind of takes its own path. So if I have like a specific project I'm working on, I'll bring in some questions around that. Sometimes I literally like will write my like task list for the day. And something I thought I was supposed to focus on is just like, no, wait, like hold on that. And then of course, like, I mean, I use them every single day. So whether it's like a specific project, I just got through a launch, content creation, like I'll be dropping in throughout the week, but like the morning meeting is that like consistent. And same thing with clients. I have a lot of people who feel called to the records when they're moving through like big life change or shifts in their business, personal changes, and they are just able to use this tool, this modality as a place to like drop in, reconnect with themselves, and really like affirm their intuition. That's probably one of my favorite like side effects, if you will, of working with the records, is like very rarely will something like totally crazy come in where it's like, I've never even thought of that before. Like the most common response is like, oh my God, like I felt that, like I've known that, like, yes, like, thank you. Either like if I'm reading for them, it's like, thank you for speaking to that. Or if they're in their own records, it's just like building that trust muscle. So that way out of the records, it's just like, okay, like I'm feeling this. I am tuned in. I got this. Like, I know I am connected. Like I feel that.
I'm so curious if you've like, because you talked about obviously like your business is built on the records, which is a unique, it's a unique thing, right? But I'm so curious, like if you've ever like maybe you were going to launch an offer and then actually you were like, wait, I actually don't need to do this right now, or I shouldn't do this right now. Or maybe the opposite, like, okay, I have to get this out now. Like, I'm so curious about maybe like sharing 2 or 3 pivotal moments in your business that you use the records and received something that supported you.
Yeah, I think what feels most present is definitely like the founding members launch of the portal that I just closed the card on. So the portal has taken many iterations. Like, it was sort of like initially this all access pass and just like to my like body of work, and it was an app, and then it was just like it didn't really have the one-on-one support with it, and then I sort of shut it down. I was going through divorce the year before last and like really big life changes, and they were just like, pause, like we need to pause, we need to regroup, like you need this breather right now. And then towards the end of last year, I was just walking again. It's always when I'm walking, I guess. I'm seeing the point. And I could feel like the energy swirling around the offering again. And I asked like, what is asking for my attention in my business? And then this vision dropped in of the portal and these creatives and intuitives and healers and space holders all around as like these forms of light, like across the world dropping into their records. And then the ripples of that would have through the collective. And it started to like take shape. And they were like, this is what needs your attention right now. This is what needs your full presence. And like at the time I had just been like focusing on mentorship and readings. Like I hadn't even like opened myself up to what the portal wanted to be. So that really put me into like a pivot of my energy and like what I was focusing my attention on. And even through that launch, like I was in my records, building out the sales page, building out the content, like just co-creating all of it. And as I was getting closer to card open, I started to write the emails for the launch. And I was like, okay, I want to like prep all the emails so like I can focus on other things. And they were just like, no, like you'll do one email at a time. And you will keep dropping in, like you need to stay connected to the energy of the space. Like,
yeah.
And like, I just couldn't, there was nothing there. So it's like every day I would just go in and see like what email or what social post, like it was deeply uncomfortable because I'm normally someone who has like everything prepped and ready to go. And like, especially someone who lives with chronic illness, like I don't know how my energy will be day to day.
Yeah.
But they were very clear. They were very clear in where my focus needed to be like on the present energy and like continually dropping in.
Yeah. That just makes me think about how often like, and how many of us that are online business owners, maybe solo entrepreneurs, are just running our businesses like completely against the grain, if that makes sense. Like, not that you're doing it wrong, just that maybe you're doing it like in a harder way for you. Like, for example, I'm just thinking of if you had written all your emails and all your content ahead of time, how different your launch would have gone. And I don't know, it's just interesting. Like, because I think we always are just trying to follow like the coach or the person who has done it and has the proven success or has helped all these other people do it. So why can't they help you do it? And then it's like, but it just feels wrong, or it just goes against what my natural inclination is. And I don't know, that's totally a side note, but I was just thinking of that when you were saying that.
It's not a side note at all. Like, to me, that's like literally what running an intuitive business is. It's just being connected to what your voice is, like what your body's telling you, what your intuition's telling you, over following someone else's strategy or framework for success, because we all have very individual soul's journeys. Like, to start a business is some of like the deepest inner work you can sign up for.
Oh my God.
There's nothing that will hold a mirror up to the parts of you that need
so real
support and that need to have your full presence with, like starting a business. So I feel like when we follow someone else's strategy and their framework and just like try to do all the right things instead of actually taking that breath, pausing and seeing like what actually is feeling good for me, what's like the next step I'm supposed to take, like it totally shifts everything. So
yeah, it's funny because I've even felt that way, like in in the way that I write content for clients and our team writes content for clients. Like, yes, we have strategy and we know what performs the best and we know the structures and we know all of that. But it's funny because oftentimes, like, I just have an idea and I can't explain it to you. I just know that it's going to work and I just know the hook and I just know it. Like, I just know it. And it's not something I could ever explain or teach you or whatever. It's just that I know. I don't know. But it's funny because you can't put that on a sales page, you know? It's like,
no, you cannot.
Yeah. I just know stuff. Hire me.
A lot of money and change your life. Like, we're going to have so much fun together.
Yes. And you're going to love it. But it is funny because I don't know. It's probably just the mix of like human, like the actual human and the way humans operate and the way our brains work meshed with spirituality or intuition or things like that. And the one thing that I do appreciate about the online space and the online business space now is that it's more open to that. It's not as like masculine in the sense of like structure, data, all that stuff. Like there is more room for that like flowy side of things. I don't know.
Yeah. There has been like such a shift, especially over the past few years in like just making space for the magic.
Yeah. Like the inexplainable and just, So I'm signing up for that version of a business. But I appreciate you sharing kind of like how you've like actually used them and made decisions based on that. I'm curious. You said obviously you've been living with chronic illness, the transplant, all of that. Yeah. I'm curious how that has shaped how you run your business, because that's also something I see so often on the online spaces, like people dealing with like Hashimoto's or PCOS or things like that and running their own businesses so that they can, you know, like they couldn't, managing that in a corporate position would be really hard, but if they can work for themselves, it's a little bit easier. So I'm curious how you navigate that.
Yeah, that is definitely like part of the inspiration for me of having my own business. Like I actually physically can't hold down a 9-to-5. So for me, it's like my health is first, no matter what. And I know that has made my growth a bit like slower over the years, but I feel like totally fine with that. I feel very at peace with that. Like my spirit animal is a turtle. We're slowly here. We're just doing, you know, my intention is just to literally take things day by day. So my energy wavers. Like sometimes there's days where I'm like, I feel amazing and I have so many ideas and I'm on top of the world. And then there's days where like I can't get out of bed. So for me, the most important thing that I do is I'm always thinking about what future Hilary needs. So on the day where I'm like, I want to start a YouTube channel and I need to start a podcast and I have so much to say. And like, I want to post on social media 5 days a week. And like, I need to launch a new offering and I need to do this and this and this. I'm like, take a breath, like slow down. And like, that is also where the records are really helpful, where it's like, what is asking for my attention right now? Where is my energy meant to go in this moment? And then now that I've been doing this and obviously living in this body for so many years that like, I have a sense of like, I don't want to overwhelm future Hilary. Like I don't want to set her up for like feeling like she failed. So it's rather just move slower, be intentional. Like even this last launch that I had the cart open for a couple of weeks. Like most people would be like, what? And I'm like, no, this feels good for me. Like, I'm just like, I just ease through. So, health above everything, because as I've shared with you, like there have been times where I haven't prioritized my health and there's been like serious repercussions to that. And I'm just not willing ever to do that again. So,
yeah. I think where I see the records maybe helping people listening to this podcast or me or others is like, there's just so much information in the world now. And like, especially with AI, it's like there's not a lack of information. There's not a lack of ideas and strategies and frameworks and things. Like, you can find something that works for you. But I think the overwhelm of information, period, really can cause overwhelm in your system where like you don't know what you should do or what like path to follow or what framework to follow, or if you need to make your own framework or whatever it is. Like, I just think it can be so overwhelming, like just in every way. You log onto Instagram and there's just a million ideas and they all work, right? Like one of them will work for you, but it's like knowing what one works the best with you and works with your system the best, I think.
100%. And like, there's just something about this energy shift that happens once you drop into the records. Like, you get out of your head and you just drop in. Like, if anyone's listening that has gone in their records, they know what I'm talking about. And I hope that you get to experience it. It's very subtle, but it's just like gets you out of your head and into your body. And like, that is where the answers are, right? So it's like, we've taken in all this information, and then how can we actually clear out all the information that's not serving us so that we can tap into what is in highest and best for us, or what is the right next step.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I could go deep on this subject, but like our brains, you know, are, because we are like, we came from like, you know, our monkey brains, honestly, like we came from cavemen and people who were hunter and gatherers. And that's, our brains are trained to look for fear, like what we should be afraid of, how to stay safe, how to solve a problem. Like, our brains are very, very valuable tools. But because of the way society and humans have evolved, there's actually not that much to be afraid of. Nobody's coming to kill you. You have food. There aren't these things that your brain was built to support you with. They're not there anymore. Yeah. And so I think personally, that's why like meditation, yoga, breath work, the records, spirituality in general, and anything like somatic work has become more popular, is because people are realizing like, I love my brain. She's so awesome and nice and cute and we love her. Yeah. Like, there's so many layers and patterns and things in there that are holding me back from knowing what the truth is. Yeah. And so like getting into your body in whatever way you choose, through the records, through anything else, I think really is like the highest form of intelligence, because like then you can go back to your mind and your brain and how do I write the Instagram post? How do I implement this? That's when you can use that. But for like the actual guidance and purpose and really connecting with who you are, like that's not going to come from thinking about it.
No, it definitely isn't. Like, I love everything that you're sharing, because it's like through this practice of dropping into our bodies, it's like we're creating these new neural pathways of safety. And when we're able to drop into our bodies and trust ourselves, trust our intuition, and then take action from that, even if it's scary, even if it's uncomfortable, it's like we do see we didn't die.
Yeah, there's a new pattern. There's a new record of what's happening.
Yeah, I can trust myself. I can try this thing. I can like grow and evolve, and I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
This is my gosh. Information.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild. Like it's just so, I think it's so awesome to see the rise of all these things. Like obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably listened to my episodes with Tay and Claire, who are my breathwork mentors. And it's funny as you're sharing about the records, I'm like, it doesn't feel that different from like a space that you might go into if you're doing like a deep therapeutic breathwork journey that's like 40 minutes or an hour or something, you know, where you're like really you're not controlling anything. Like the information is just flowing, and it's not, I don't know. And even like if you've connected with your spirit guides through something like that, I feel like it's not that dissimilar. And I just can speak to like the clarity that comes through when you shut off your cute little brain. Like, we love her, but like sometimes she's problematic.
Drop in. Yeah, it's so similar. Like that is for anyone who's had that experience, like it's not dissimilar to dropping into the records and just like creating that space within yourself for clarity to hear yourself and
like
quiet.
receive guidance from whatever it is you believe in, higher power, God, whatever, like the universe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've gone down that pathway, I'm curious what you would say to someone who is listening to this and maybe like they're like intuition, I don't know. I've maybe like felt that once before, but I don't really know. Where would you tell them to start? Like what's something they could do or read
Yeah.
or experience?
Yeah. So on the same wavelength of everything we've been talking about, like pen to paper. Like typically when we're feeling disconnected from our intuition, from that voice, it is because there's just too much noise happening in our brains. We're holding on to too much. We're thinking about everything we need to do. We are just constantly being reactive to the world around us. And if our intuition needs anything, it needs space and it needs us to slow down. So like most simple free tool is like literally just a brain dump, like pen to paper, writing everything down that's knocking around that cute little noggin and just getting it out. And like there's just something about, the hand being connected to the heart and just actually like physically taking that pen to paper and moving that energy. And it's like every random thought, every random task, everything that you have to do, just like getting it out of your brain. And then from there, I think just being really gentle with yourself and bringing curiosity around how your body's communicating with you and like not needing to understand it, but just noticing like, oh, my breath started like getting more rapid when I was talking to that person, or I got that email and I feel like my heart dropped into my stomach. Like, okay, interesting. Like, because our intuition is communicating with us through our somatic experience. So those would be, I think, two like really strong places to start to just like drop back into your body and to create that space to see what wants to come through.
Yeah, it sounds so like simple, but it really is simple. And I think, at least for me, when I am overwhelmed, whether that's like because I have a lot to do or because I've consumed too many reels or whatever the hell, I do notice like, it's harder. It's not that my intuition's gone, like it doesn't leave me or something, but it's harder to hear and it's harder to decipher what's intuition, what's anxiety, what, like everything's like cloudy and meshed together and it's confusing. And it sounds so silly, but it's like, that's when you have to give yourself the space to like carve out the hour to go on the walk, maybe open your records or whatever it is that you find like that space in.
Yeah.
And like you really have to do it or it's just going to be really hard.
Yeah. The alternative is just pushing through, and like you can't feel differently if you don't change the action, like if you don't shift.
Yeah, like you totally can push through. I do it all the time. You know what I mean? But it's like, why am I choosing the hard way?
Totally. Yeah, you can choose like how many of us have pushed through, but it's like it doesn't even actually take that long to create the shift either. Like you could just walk outside and feel the sun on your face for 5 minutes and take a few deep breaths and come back in and feel like an entirely different person.
That's so real.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. I love that take. Nothing is really that serious. It's
really
like,
not.
Oh my God. It's just so hard to like actually really believe that, but that's just what's true. And it's just crazy. But I have a couple more questions for you. And one of them is, what's a misconception about intuitive businesses that you'd love to clear up? Like maybe it's a stereotype or something like that.
Yeah. I think that like just that it's this like woo-woo way of operating your business, and like you have to be, think of yourself as like a psychic or an intuitive. We're all intuitive, but like maybe you don't relate to that label or whatever it is. It's like you don't need any of that. It's everything we've been talking about. Like an intuitive business is a business that follows your intuitive knowing, like where you are creating that space to tap into what your next step is. Like it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's like that sacred pause of what is the next step I'm taking? And instead of it just being like autopilot or like, I'm going to build this business and like this person figured out what I want to do and I'm just going to follow what they do to a T. Can promise you it's probably not going to work out like it worked out for them because that was their soul's journey and not your soul's journey. So it's just about finding your unique way of being a leader. It's your unique way of showing up and not letting it need to look like anybody else's and just like getting curious about that. So it's just a very simple but powerful shift in perspective around how you're running your business.
Yeah. I think it gets challenging, at least for me, like when you see maybe people like doing what you wish you were doing or what you think you wish you were doing, or maybe they're like making the amount of money that you wish you were making or whatever it is. And it's just so interesting when you really do think about like, maybe that's actually not my path. And so forcing that is only basically taking me like in the wrong direction. And instead, if I like slowed down and paused and went internal and figured out like what my path might be, that would actually end up better than I can imagine. Not just that income goal or not just that lifestyle or not just that business model that they have, but like it could actually be better because it feels really good to you. Which is tricky. I think it just goes, it's that same thing that I've been mentioning. Just there's so much information and things out there that I think it's easy to get wadded up that way.
I've done it a million times over. And like, I don't think anyone is like immune to going down the rabbit hole of like, it worked for them, let me try this. Or like, I want what they have. Maybe if I build it in a similar way. And sometimes that's the like, fuck around and find out. Like, you just need to do it and then feel like, oh, this actually doesn't feel good. Because like, we don't want to abandon any part of ourselves while we're building our business. And like, your body will tell you, your intuition will tell you, like, things will feel off. Like, sometimes we just need to try. And I don't think like any size you are or any income you're at, like anyone is immune from being like,
no,
I want what they have, or that looks really cool, or maybe if I try this. And it's like, I think it's just all information also. It's like when we see someone who has something that we want, it's like, oh, that's alive within me. Like there's something there to explore. And like, it gets to be fun. Like this whole process is meant to be fun. Like that's why we have a business. We want to have fun. We want to connect. We want to have good conversations. We want to be of service. Like whatever your why is, it's like, it all gets to be a big experiment. It is a big experiment. So like, fun while you do it.
That's so real. And it just reminded me of sometimes like of our clients that we serve too. It's like they're following all the right strategies and like all the content is optimized and the copywriting is awesome and everything. And it's just not really working. And then a year goes by and now they're popping off. Like it's just going crazy. And it's like nothing really changed. You know, we didn't like change their message or anything, but it just like that wasn't their time to do that for whatever reason. Like 100%. It could be some personal thing you don't realize is going to happen, or just maybe your capacity to handle the attention or whatever at that point wasn't there yet, but now you have it. Like it just is all working out how it should. And I'm talking to myself right now, but
I need it too. You know? Like, it is all unfolding
how it's supposed to
be. It's true. There's so many energetics at play with these things. Like,
yeah, it's like making me think of, so I used to be obsessed with This Is How I Built This podcast by Guy Raz. And I don't know if he does new podcasts anymore, but I used to be obsessed with it. And at the end, he would always ask the founders of these really successful businesses, like, was it luck or was it you? Was it hard work? And like almost every time they would be like, luck. Like I got lucky. And it just makes me think about like, you know, you couldn't have created that brand or that product or that offer, that service if it wasn't for you. Like they're calling it luck, but really it's just like that was what they were supposed to do.
That was their journey, and that's how it was meant to unfold. And there was probably like thousands of things that didn't go right that led them to having the success that they have. Like we all have our own unique soul's journey. And
you're not going to mess it up.
You literally can't do that. You can't mess it up. Impossible.
I love that. Okay, 2 more little questions for you. Yeah. One, if a listener takes one thing from this conversation into their week, what would you want it to be?
That they have this spiritual team all around them wanting to support them. Like we are all surrounded by so much unseen support. And your guides, your spiritual team, and this isn't religious, like this is spiritual, energetic, like it's whatever language feels right for you, but they want to support you. So just getting curious. If you're listening to this, I'm going to lovingly assume that you're probably feeling called to the records in some way. Like, keep going. See, like, try to access them. Step into the energy and just start opening yourself up to what it feels like to be connected to your spiritual team, to feel that support. Because like we're not meant to do this alone on the earthly realm, but we're also not meant to do this alone in like the spiritual realm. Like there's just all this support meant to hold us.
Yeah.
So I invite you to get curious about what that looks like for you.
I love that. And my last question is, what is one piece of advice you wish you could give your younger self?
Probably still advice that I have to give to myself now, which is
fair.
I don't know if it ever stops, but really like that my sensitivity is a gift, that it's a superpower, that it's going to allow me to be of service in a way that I couldn't have imagined. And it's going to make an impact. And, you know, being a highly sensitive person walking around the world can feel really challenging. But it also is a gift, and it makes me really good at what I do. And I'm so grateful for that. And if I could connect to little Hilly, I would just really ask her and invite her to embrace that part of herself, to try and love that part of herself, and then trust like everything else will fall into place from there.
Yeah, I love that. It is like scary to be a sensitive person. Big scary world out there.
Girl, I'm still telling you now, you got this. I believe in you.
You're gonna be okay. No, that's so real. I appreciate you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing about all the things that you're doing. And we're going to make sure we link your Instagram, your, it sounds like your enrollments are maybe closed for the membership for now, but if there's a wait list, we'll link that. And if you guys want a reading, do you offer one-on-one readings or one-off readings?
I do. Yeah, I have a wait list going, but I'm going to open up spots. I don't know when this is going to air, but I open up spots every few months, and I'm doing pop-ups of the portal, and I also have mentorship. So I'll give you all the links. So
anyways,
and anyone who doesn't know what offering is the right fit, like just DM me on Instagram, send me a voice note. Like I want to chat with you. So I'm here.
Yes. I love that so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with us and your story. And yeah, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. This was amazing.
Bye.